Welcome back to the PT Graduate Podcast. My guest today is Alex Jensen. Hello, Alex.
Kia ora, how are you doing?
Very, very well indeed. Thank you. Looking forward to Christmas.
Me too.
Bit of a break. This won't be going out before Christmas, but it'll be a January, February time thing. So I'm sure by the time people listen, they'll be well rested and looking forward to hearing from you.
Perfect. Sounds good to me.
Brilliant. Before I get into my questions, it's very important that I acknowledge your phenomenal award. So congratulations for winning the Up and Coming PT of the Year 2024.
Thank you so much.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
You must be chuffed.
Yeah, chuffed is definitely one way to describe it, one of many ways to describe it.
Yeah.
That was a big achievement for me. Um, and so it felt big. Yeah, yeah.
Brilliant. We'll go into it. We'll dip into the award process and a few other things in a minute. But I think it'd be nice to know a little bit more about you, where you are, what you do. So you're a PT at Les Mills, but I don't know which one. Whereabouts are you based?
Lesmore's Taranaki Street.
Right. Okay. Got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And so how long have you been based there?
As a PT, I've been based there since the start of this year.
Yeah.
But I first started my journey with Les Mills in 2022 as a group fitness instructor and a yoga
Right.
teacher.
Yeah.
But I had a 1 year sabbatical, I guess you could call it,
Okay.
when I studied to become a PT, but needed to support my study with more income because I got made redundant from a job that I was doing and
Okay.
I wasn't getting paid enough in the industry, being
Mm.
so new to the
Mm.
industry. So I was actually a coach at F45 for 2023.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay. 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 Oh, so you've got some good experience in different environments, which is useful.
definitely, yes.
Cool. And so what do you feel you've brought from F45? I mean, obviously it's a group environment, right?
Hmm.
But as a coach, how did that help you?
It felt like it felt like the perfect time and place to practice everything that I was learning in the classroom in a
Right.
studio environment
Yeah.
or in a real life scenario.
Mm, mm, mm.
Because obviously you can practice it and role play it and rehearse it, but it's never the same when you're dealing with your classmate
Yeah.
versus when you're dealing with a real life human
Yeah.
being with real life problems.
Yeah.
So it felt like the right professional playground,
Yep.
essentially to develop those skills and to then be exposed to things that I wouldn't have been exposed to otherwise, and then
Mm.
be able to take that back and forth in and out of a learning in a professional environment. So I really feel like it was kind of the lead up to being a PT, almost the best
Oh,
transition I could have asked for from being a group fitness instructor and only a group fitness instructor. You're only used to dealing with big groups of people
yeah.
to then becoming a PT where you're only dealing with one person.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a perfect transition. Best of
Yeah.
both worlds just together. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the skills that you pick up from dealing with multiple people are really invaluable
Mm,
because I think you get faster at thinking on your feet. You know, it's one of these roles where you have to do that all day, every day, and improvise and change your mind on the fly because of something that's come up mid-session or beginning of the session or whatever it may be. And that group environment, because it's so much faster moving. I think that really hones those skills. And so when you're then moving into that one-on-one space, it's so much easier to do that same thing.
absolutely. Yes.
Mm. So you clearly had a hankering for more Les Mills.
Yeah, I did. I never really left, I feel like. I mean, I
Yeah,
left, but I didn't leave. I
yeah,
was still a member throughout that whole time.
yeah.
But I think I decided I knew what I wanted to do, which was PT, as well as group fit, but I knew I wanted to PT, and I think I decided before I even studied where I wanted to
Right.
do was Les Mills, Taranaki Street. So it was always in my mind, even if I never was saying it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Your subconscious knew.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
For the short number of years that you've been in the industry, the list on your profile is significantly long, Alex. It, I think I don't know how you've managed to see clients when you've got so many qualifications, so many disciplines that you've studied. Are those all have those all come along your specialities list? Have
Mm.
those all come along individually, or have they been sort of happening all at the same time? How have you got through all of that?
A bit of both. It depends what you're referring to, but I'm assuming it's the bulk of a lot of my different
Yeah, yeah,
specialties, which is I did alongside my personal training studies.
right.
So the same year that I studied to become a PT and get the the basic qualification you need to be a
Mm,
PT, I also did essentially an upskilling course, which
okay.
then qualified you in a bunch of different other areas. I say upskilling because it was designed, I guess, for people who are already in the industry and wanting to skill themselves. But
Yep,
because I was about to just be in the industry and
yep,
be wanting to upskill myself, they allowed me to be on the course too, and essentially to upskill myself whilst I learned
yep,
how to be a
yep.
PT too. Yeah.
Okay, I've got you. Yeah, no, it's good. It covers a lot of ground as well, and it looks like from so reading between the well, not reading between the lines, reading the lines. Yoga is an important component in your sort of discovery of, being in your happy place, I suppose. Finding not being a natural sporty kid, which I think I can very much relate to. In fact, you talked about being last at cross country, and I was like, "Yep, that was me."
Yeah, I think it was a lot of us.
I was exactly the same.
Yeah.
Hated it.
Yeah, me too.
But clearly yoga is kind of one of those new components or newer to you components that you sort of fell in love with and sort of like embraced movement and other things.
100%. I think yoga for me was the first, aside from dance, I was a big dancer growing up. And I also loved swimming too.
Mm,
I was a big swimmer as well. But I think that's kind of considered more sports now. Swimming, I never took to a sporting level, but
yeah,
dancing when I was young, I wasn't really considered a sport as much as it
yeah,
is now.
yeah, yeah.
So, sport wise, I guess, I mean, yoga technically isn't even a sport, or is it? I guess that's another debate that we can have another time.
Right.
But I guess the first physical form of movement that I fell in love with that wasn't related to anything I'd done before.
Mm,
And after having, I guess, fallen out of love with movement through PE in a educational environment,
yeah,
uh, was yoga. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. And so is
yeah.
that an ongoing thing for you? Do you kind of have a regular day or time where you do it, or does it just fit in when it can?
That's an interesting one. When I first started, I was practicing eventually I was practicing every day
Mm,
with fail. And that was a beautiful practice that was really important to me and still is, but unfortunately I can't say I practice every day anymore. But that said, practice every day, practice for me has changed. So, and when I started, it was just the asana, it was just the postures, the physical movement on your mat. And a lot of
right.
us view that as yoga, but
Mm,
yoga is so much more than that.
mm,
There's so many other elements to a practice. So it actually took kind of an opposite approach after studying how to become a yoga teacher and learning so much about yoga and how much more it was than just my body on a mat, to challenge myself to not physically practice but try to practice every other, spiritual, mental, emotional,
mm.
moral uh, practice that there is,
Yep, yep,
to take kind of like almost like the gears off but on at the same time,
yep.
which gave me a whole new understanding and appreciation for yoga and what it has to offer, um, and so now it's a mix of the two. So I
Right.
kind of went one extreme to the other extreme, and now I'm finding my way with some balance.
That's good.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Mm. That's good, and I think that's how you discover what the right spot is, isn't it? By going to those extremes and sort of then you know where the line is, and then you go, right, where's the sweet spot?
Absolutely, and life keeps changing, right? So
Mm,
who I was 2 years ago is completely different to who I am now, and my lifestyle is completely different to
right.
now. So I think
Mm,
it's important, whilst we can have an ideal, to be able to separate us from that ideal. You know, like if you can't make it in for your yoga class that day, or you miss a gym session, like it
mm,
just removing yourself from that practice or that ritual is beneficial, because for a long time, being kind of an all or nothing person, it would be
mm.
like, oh, I failed today, or oh, I'm
Yeah.
good enough because I didn't do this, or I let that person down, you know. And so to be
Mm,
able to be like, okay, this didn't happen today, but you know what? I got to do this instead. And as a result, it meant that I was able to have this, and tomorrow, after experiencing what I've experienced today, I will now choose to do this, you
yeah.
know. So
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
about a more balanced approach, even. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I like that. And it's sort of a learning process for yourself. But I like that you touched on the all or nothing piece. And I think our
Yes.
clients can be some of our clients can be very much like that. And
Mm-hmm.
so one of our roles is to help guide them that, it doesn't have to be as binary as that. Um, and helping them sort of adjust that mindset over time. I was talking to Renee, who won PT of the Year for an episode, and it was one of the things she talked about quite a bit was, she only spends, or not only, but she'll spend a minimum of 20 weeks initially with clients. Anything less
Mm-hmm.
than that, and it's not enough time to really help them to have that
Yeah.
impact and slowly work on that mindset bit that's the slowest changing. Um,
100%.
and I just thought, yeah, that's a really good policy. I quite like that idea, and it's an easily explained. And it's a win for her in terms of business, but it's also a win for the client because they get the result.
Yes, and
Yeah.
long-term results as well, right? Which is
Yes.
actually what we're all after at the end of the day. It's
Yeah.
easy to want the short-term results, but really deep down, we want the long-term. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. So talk us through a little bit about the awards process for you in terms of, why you entered. Were you nominated or did you nominate yourself, and what it was like?
All right. I'm taking back to the start of this year.
Mm. Mm.
uh, my manager, Ash Cameron, she we were in a meeting one day. We had regular meetings when I started, and she basically was like to me, I want to nominate you for an award. And this was about like 3 months into painting,
Right. Huh.
something like that. And I was like, uh and she was like, we can postpone it to next year if you want. And then I just cut her off, and I was basically like, let's do it. I was like, why not? What have I got to lose? I've just started. There's only something I can gain from this. So I was basically like, okay, green light, let's go.
Mm.
um and then I guess stage one, you enter, and then you hope you get through. And to my surprise, I got through. So, stage two, the same thing. You enter in the same hopes, and the same surprise when I also got through that one. I was genuinely surprised each time, even though I
Okay.
know the amount of work I put into each stage. Stage
Mm.
one, there's a little less work involved, but
Yeah.
stage two, there was definitely a lot more work involved.
Mm.
For anyone who doesn't know what you have to do for the awards, it's a combination of a lot of writing, a lot of talking, and a lot of doing,
Yeah.
and filming of all of that for evidence.
Mm.
So uh, yeah, I was lucky to have my manager support behind me in doing all of that, and her patience as
Brilliant.
I was like, can we do that again? Can we retake?
Yep. Yep. Good.
And after stage two, there's the finals. So you get announced
Mm.
as a finalist, and that's just everything. I said to myself, like, if I just make it to finals, I'm gonna be happy with that. I'm gonna be grateful for that. And I really was like trying to tell myself that, because I'm always shooting for more. I'm always
Sure.
wanting to, like, do better and to be the best. But sometimes I have to remind myself that actually what you've done is significant, and it's
Yeah.
more than enough, and more than what was expected of you or
Mm.
anticipated of you. So I was like trying to tell myself, like, wow, okay, we've made it. Like, this is it. You know, like no matter what happens from here, we're good.
Mm.
Then of course, the closer the awards night came, the more I wanted it, and I was just like, and then the day of the awards night, you just spend just I spent the whole day convincing myself why I wasn't gonna get it. And I don't know
Really?
why. I think it's my brain. I think it's quite natural human behavior to protect yourself
Yep.
in case the outcome doesn't go the way you want it to. The brain's already preempting different
Mm.
results and to prepare you for, I guess, different outcomes.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they announced it, and I didn't believe what I'd heard.
That's you. Yeah, that's you. Stand up.
Yeah, there weren't everyone. If everyone wasn't at my table looking at me and
Yeah.
like clapping and cheering, I don't think I would have realized it was me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah,
Fantastic. Well, yeah, congratulations. And yeah, the list of finalists obviously is they're all winners essentially. The difference
100%.
between that list of finalists and the person who ends up taking out the award is very, very small, very slim.
Mm-hmm.
And again, talked about this with Renee, but it's that X factor which allows the judges to actually go, well, yeah, they're all great, but that person just stands out a little bit more. What do you think is Alex's X factor?
I think it's me. I think it's just like who I am. I, the judges actually told me after they got off the, because there was a final interview. I forgot to mention that there was a final
Yeah,
interview before like the
yeah,
finalists after stage two. And they told me this post the like awards.
yeah,
But they said they got off the they got off the Zoom call with me and were like, "Whoa,
yeah.
who's this girl? Like, I want to meet her. Like, I've never met anyone like her. Like, her energy is different. How animated she is, how
Mm,
passionate she is.
mm,
Yeah, how I guess who I am. Just really, I was able to communicate through that call, and they were really able to connect with. So I think, I think it's just me.
yep, yep, yep. I think having been in that room as well, I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
There's a certain energy, I think I'd describe it as, and that energy is sort of it's attractive. It makes people want to spend time with you, want to listen to what you've got to say, and I think it's hard to hide. You can't put that stuff on, even if it's on a Zoom selection rather than face to face, which it used to be. Zoom's still good enough that you can sense, you can feel that, and
Mm.
yeah, no, I'd agree with that summary from what they've said. It's one of the big things that made you stand out. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
fabulous. The great thing is there's no one else, right? It can't people can't sort of emulate that. It's what makes you you, as you said. That really is the X factor. So that is
Mm.
your point of difference, and I think that'll stand you in really good stead. Yeah,
Thank you.
brilliant. So, what does the future look like? Do you know what you'll be able to do? How you'll leverage the award, whether that's something, I mean, your clients must be really proud if you've, been able to, I'm sure you've shared it, but, what do you see it doing for you?
That is the big question I have been asking myself ever since I won it.
Yep,
Obviously, I have dreams and plans, but it's working out what happens when. And one of my main pieces of feedback and things that I think I'm going to take on board first and foremost is having a sense of direction and maybe outsourcing for that. So,
right.
from a business mentor
Yep,
to help me make sure everything happens because I'm a good ideas person, but
yeah,
sometimes I'm not as good at making the ideas into
yep,
plans.
yep.
So getting more support on that, I think, will be the first step.
Hmm.
But before even all of that, if I'm completely honest, it's going to be having a break.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah,
it will be that, and when I return after that break, I've already like out calendar. What's the word? Scheduled
yep,
scheduled out a week for myself to just focus business before I
Nice.
start up back up with my clients because I
Yep.
really feel I need that time. I need the time for myself,
Mm.
but then I need the time for my business.
Yeah.
And so I've got that week to basically schedule every other week of the whole entire year,
Yeah.
and set dates to have timelines to make plans on to then work out where I'm going on what I'm doing first to get
Sure,
there.
sure. Yeah.
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 But yeah, definitely want to try to reach out beyond the Wellington community this
Yep.
year,
Yep.
to go national, but what
Mm.
that
Mm.
entails
Sure.
is still a little under wraps. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, I recommend having a chat with Renee only because she's fresh in my mind because she's been in the industry over 10 years and she's got this interesting hybrid model where she does see a number of clients in person, but she does a whole lot of stuff online as well.
Mm-hmm.
And she mentioned at the end of the conversation that she'd love to help anybody out there that would want that help. And she may be open to having just a casual conversation. And that could be a useful port of call because obviously she's won the award as well, and
Mm-hmm.
she'll have some nuggets of wisdom that she may be able to pass on.
Absolutely, that's a good reminder. I did reach out to her on the night of the
Oh,
awards and asked her if she would be available for a korero.
oh,
So
brilliant.
yeah, so that's actually probably my first step now. Like you've just
Yeah,
given me some direction already.
nice. Yeah, you're way ahead of me.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. And obviously, there's lots of experts in the industry, and I know Les Mills is a particularly supportive environment. And obviously, your manager's clearly right behind you in terms of support, and they can they can provide a whole lot of experience and knowledge, and that's just within the Les Mills family. But yeah, there's loads of other people out there as well. So it's just finding what works for you, and then yeah, away you go. It's good.
Definitely.
Well, okay, it's probably about that time that I start picking your brains. So, what are your top tips, Alex? What are the things that have worked for you, or things that you do in business or privately as an individual that helps you do what you do?
Oh, what to choose? There are a lot of different tips and tricks, and a lot I've learned this year, and a lot I'm gonna learn next year.
Sure.
There's always more to learn, right? But I
Yeah.
think number one for me that first comes to mind is the be yourself. We spoke a little bit about it before, but there are so many like talented people out there, so many people who know what they're doing and why they're doing it, and they're so good at doing it. So it's not necessarily about trying to compete with them, but more about celebrate what they can do, and
Mm,
then at the same time celebrate what you can do. And maybe it's not necessarily like what you do on paper, but what you're able to do in person with someone, because that holds a lot of value and sometimes more valuable value than what is on paper.
yeah.
Um, so that I think
Yeah.
would be the thing is to be yourself and learn what that means for you, because it's not being other people.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. Yeah.
told us earlier about how you can tell when someone's not being authentic and genuine. So if you're unsure of what that is for you, just start trying, start doing different things, and you'll be like, oh, that's
Mm,
good, oh, that didn't feel right,
mm,
and then you just
mm.
keep going, and you'll find it
Good.
eventually.
I like that. It's so true, isn't it? And it's easy to get caught in that trap where you see people that have been successful and you think you need to be like them
Yes.
to have the same. So you want the success, but you think the route to it is by emulating them as opposed to being
Mm,
yourself and
yes.
finding your path to the same success.
100%. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. It would be nice to think that if we all followed the same steps, we'd all get there. But then why aren't we all there?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit more
Cool.
nuanced than that. So yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mm, mm. Love it. Any others?
Yes, I've got actually two more for you. If you
Okay.
want two more,
Yeah, definitely.
and then you have to invite me back for more than that.
We'll do a version 2 when your list is even longer.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So believe in yourself. It quickly follows being yourself. I always say this as an example, as I think a lot of my clients can relate to it, but and maybe a lot of people who go to the gym can. But if you don't believe you can do a box jump, you're not gonna do the box jump. Like you really won't. It's the same thing as like, I don't know, if you don't believe that you can bungee jump, you're
Yeah,
never gonna try bungee jump because why
yeah,
would you
yeah.
know, your brain's already told you that's not a possibility. So it's
Mhm.
not going to look for opportunities. It's already like, nah. So if you do that to yourself in business, in relationships, in life, and whatever it is you're after, you're already limiting yourself before you've even started.
Yeah,
And that's the worst place you can start
yeah,
with limitations, right?
yeah, yeah,
Before like anyone else has even given them to you. Your job should be to break through those barriers, not to build them. So yeah, believe in yourself. It sounds cheesy and it sounds corny, and you can diss it all you want, but
so true.
when you do it, you'll be jumping the box.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
I actually think your box jumper example is the perfect example because how many clients have we had where it's ready to go, they're ready to go, and they do a half jump and
yeah,
they don't commit because they don't
no,
believe.
no,
And as soon as they manage that first one, they could do 1,000.
exactly,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly. It's just getting over that box jump
yeah,
once.
yeah.
All it
Have
takes.
you read Bruce Lipton's book, The Biology of Belief?
No, but it
Put it
sounds
on
like
your list. Put it on your list.
okay.
Because you kind of already described some of it then in terms of that whole belief thing, but it operates at a a chemical level in the body in terms of our
Mm,
belief systems.
oh yeah.
And really, really powerful. What's number three? What's number three?
Okay. So this one I might have to repeat twice, but learn to fail, but more importantly, learn from your failures. So
Nice.
learn to fail, but more importantly, learn from your failures. The number one thing when I started this year that I didn't want to do was make any mistakes,
Right.
which I
Yeah.
guess is a natural thing to not want to do, but it's actually the most natural thing to do is make mistakes. And it's the only way you really learn it is like you can learn by being perfect, but then you never learn how to not be perfect. And the reality is you can't be perfect all the time. So it's a hard lesson to learn, especially from someone who's been a perfectionist in the past, to to let that go and realize, okay, I didn't do that as well as I wanted to, but how can I do it better next time? The key is the how can I do it better next time. If we're only sitting with our failures and our mistakes and what didn't go well and what didn't go right, we're just sitting essentially. We're
Yeah.
not moving forward, we're not moving backwards, we're just stuck.
Mm.
And if you want to grow, you can't really grow stuck unless you have the right conditions. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
put like a plant in the ground unless you're going to give it water, unless you're going to give it light and sun and oxygen. It's not going to grow, it's not going to move. So I guess it's with us, it's about giving us the compassion, forgiving ourselves for anything that we may be holding against us, and then again just believing in yourself, being yourself, and surrounding yourself with the right people and the right environment to help you grow, to
Yeah.
pick you back up if you fall down, if you can't pick yourself back up, or to learn how to pick yourself back up because not everyone's going to be there all the time to pick you up. That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
But but yeah, it's to learn from your failures as well because you're going to fail, but you have the choice whether or not you learn. So it's the making the choice to learn, to grow.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it. I like it. And I like the fact that you've made your point and you've added a story in behind it or a like a metaphor to help illustrate the point. It sort of lands better.
Yeah.
So yeah, nice. Great stuff, Alex. I like those a lot. They're going straight in the show notes.
Thank you.
Um, if people do want to reach out, if you want to have a chat, where's the best place to find you?
Absolutely. You can find me on the Les Mills website.
Oh yeah.
You can search Les Mills
Yeah.
PT, make your way through the drop down tabs to go to Taranaki Street to go to
Right.
me. You
Yep.
should see my name or my face, maybe my smile first. that's one way to do it, and all my links are actually connected to that website. But
Okay.
otherwise, give me a Google, search me up on the socials.
Sure.
I have my it's personal, but it's not private.
Yep.
It was professional for majority of this year account
Yeah.
on social media, which is my full name, Alexandra Rose Jensen.
Yep. Yep.
Jensen spelled Jensen. That
Yep.
tripped a lot of people up.
Okay.
Otherwise, I've just opened up my business account as well, which is Alexandra Jensen PT. Any of those work. You can call me, email me, text me. If you see me, you can say hi to me. I love a chat.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you very much. I will I'll find those and add those into the show notes.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, and thanks very much for your time and managing to squeeze this in just before Christmas. Well done.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah, yeah, it's good to get it recorded and add a few to the 2025 list.
Absolutely. I can't wait to listen to them all.
Yeah, cool, cool. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you, Hitch.
See ya.
See ya.